Good afternoon, class. You're welcome to the biology class for the third term of this academic session. For this term, our work will begin from respiratory system. We'll consider the mechanisms of respiratory system, after which we'll move to the study of habitats, the aquatic habitats, the terrestrial habitats, and finally we'll wrap it up with the ecology of populations and food shortage. Okay, for this term, we'll begin with respiratory systems. And when we are dealing with respiratory systems, we are talking about breathing in and breathing out. As you all know, breathing in and breathing out refers to the exchange of gases. Respiration talks about the exchange of gases. And when we're talking about breathing in, the other name is called inhalation of oxygen, and breathing out is the exhalation of carbon dioxide, or what we refer to as carbon dioxide, according to IUPAC nomenclature. Now, so as you know, or if you don't, you can learn now. Respiration begins at the nostrils and ends at the tissue known as the alveoli in the lungs. Okay, you can look at the diagram right here. The diagram shows the nasal cavity. You can see the nostrils. That is where oxygen comes in through and goes into the nasal cavity, down the pharynx and the larynx, through the trachea to the lungs. Last time, while we were talking about alimentary canal and digestion, I mentioned the epiglottis that prevents food from entering into the trachea, which is the windpipe. So you can see the trachea right there. The trachea is also known as the windpipe that conducts oxygen to the lungs, from where the oxygen is distributed to different tissues, and the process of cellular respiration or tissue respiration takes place, where the oxygen is converted to CO2 and water vapor and energy is produced. Right there you can see that the lungs contain there are two pairs of lungs, the right lung and the left lung, and the lungs are connected by what is known as the bronchus, and just below the lung we have the diaphragm. The diaphragm is the part of the lung that contracts and relaxes with the process of breathing in and breathing out. As you can see right here, um, the lungs is the major organ of respiration in the human body. The lung is the major organ of respiration in the human body. The lungs is a spongy air-filled tissue with which respiration takes place. So in human beings, the lungs is the major respiratory organ. However, there are other parts of the body that help this process. Example is the nostrils. Another example is the pharynx and larynx. Another example is the windpipe or the trachea. Another example is the diaphragm that relaxes and contracts with every inhalation and exhalation. However, in unicellular organisms, there are no specialized organs of respiration. However, most of unicellular organisms use their body surfaces for the process of respiration. Now, there are two stages or phases of respiration in human beings. The two phases are the external respiration, and the second one is the internal or tissue respiration. Now, external respiration is the process of breathing in and breathing out. It occurs to take in oxygen and to give out carbon dioxide and water vapor as waste products. So, breathing in is known as inhalation, Breathing out is known as exhalation. Breathing in takes in oxygen. Exhalation gives out water vapor and carbon dioxide. However, this is not the only phase of respiration. This is what we can see physically. There's another stage that occurs at the cellular or tissue level, and that's the next thing we'll talk about. Now, if you observe the slide before this slide, you will notice we talked about cellular respiration. Cellular respiration is also known as tissue respiration. In human beings, it is the combination of oxygen with glucose at a cellular level to produce energy. The energy is in form of adenosine triphosphate, or also known as ATP, which is transferred to all body parts for energy. And then we have waste products like water vapor and carbon dioxide. Now, this we studied when we studied cellular respiration in first term. Now, cellular respiration, there are two types. We have the aerobic respiration, which is the one that involves the combination of oxygen, and the anaerobic, which is without oxygen. The illustration is shown in the previous slide. Right here, we have the equation of cellular respiration. This is what happens when oxygen combines with glucose at the cellular level. When oxygen combines with glucose at the cellular level, energy is released. This energy is usable energy and is also known as adenosine triphosphates, like I said earlier on. So you can see right here that there's a combination of glucose or sugar with oxygen producing waste products like carbon dioxide or carbon dioxide and water or water vapor and ATP, which is usable energy. Now please take note that when you are defining cellular respiration, tissue respiration, internal respiration, your definition is incomplete or not valid, or no, I wouldn't say not valid, I would say your definition is incomplete without this chemical equation. It's very important that you write the chemical equation to drive home your explanation of the process of cellular respiration. So in the slides that are to follow, we'll look at the respiratory organs of different organisms. Yes, we will look at the respiratory organ of different organisms, and we'll be able to come to a conclusion that respiratory organs of organisms differ according to their size, according to their level in evolution, and some other factors that are important. So the first will be treated in the next slide. The first talks about unicellular organisms. Unicellular organisms, they use their body surface as their respiratory organs. Now, in fishes and tadpole, these organisms use their gills. Most organisms in the aquatic habitat use gills as their organ of respiration, and it is common in fishes and in tadpoles. However, in mammals and most primates use the lungs. Mammals and most primates use their lungs for respiration, even though there are other parts of the body that are involved. But the major organ that is responsible for respiration in mammals, in humans, and other kinds of mammals is the lungs. It's inside the lungs that we have the bronchi, that is a branch from the trachea that branches into the alveoli. Right there in the alveoli is where respiration is complete. And once respiration is complete, the oxygen is taken and distributed to the body parts. And once distribution to the body parts happens, then the cellular respiration can take place then from which ATP is produced, CO2 is produced, water vapor is produced, and exhaled. Then the energy produced is distributed to different body parts by the blood. I believe that everything that we've talked about in this class has been clear. To wrap up this class, I would want you to discuss how the alveoli is adapted for respiration. Now please take note that what I want in this discussion is what features make the alveoli suited for respiration. How does it carry out or complete the process of respiration, and finish it with a diagram, a well labeled diagram to illustrate the said part of the lungs. I believe this class has been clear enough. For any of your questions, please do write them on the given link or through our WhatsApp platform, and you will be answered immediately. Please take note that exercises, assignments are also to be submitted through the same platform. I believe you've had a great time. Thank you very much for listening, and do have a lovely day.